Last year, in the 12th month, Cheng Yujing accompanied her mother to a hot spring villa. Ningguang's territory was located in the south, and despite having lived in the capital for many years, Qingfu Junju had never quite gotten used to the cold winters here. As an imperial clan daughter, Qingfu Junju was wealthy, and one of her estates was renowned for its special hot spring. It would have looked inappropriate for her to travel without inviting her sisters-in-law, and naturally, the young misses followed their mothers. As the eldest legitimate daughter of Qingfu Junju, Cheng Yujing went along as well. However, upon arriving at Xishan, a heavy snowstorm hit the capital and surrounding areas, continuing for 3 days and nights. The mountain road was closed, and the family found themselves trapped at the estate. Qingfu Junju had already sent their family servant down the mountain to report the situation, so there was nothing to do but stay at the estate and wait for the Marquis Manor to send workers to clear the road and bring them back. Qingfu Junju continued to leisurely enjoy the hot spring, but Cheng Yujing soon realized that her second sister was nowhere to be found. Cheng Yuma, Cheng Yujing's second sister, was the beloved daughter of the second branch. She was cherished by both her father, the second branch master, and her mother, Wancher. Now, their precious daughter had gone missing during her stay at the main branch's vacation estate. Fearing for Cheng Yuma's reputation, Cheng Yujing didn't dare to let the matter spread, so she secretly instructed some older female servants to keep watch over the road and asked Lian Xiao to discreetly inquire about Cheng Yuma's whereabouts. However, after a whole night, Cheng Yuma still hadn't returned. Cheng Yujing realized the situation was serious. Not daring to make any decisions on her own, she went to Qingfu Junju early that morning to report the incident. Qingfu Junju was startled by the news. Although she wasn't particularly close to the second branch, if their legitimate daughter had gone missing on her estate, the blame would fall on her. Cheng Yujing had already searched the entire estate the day before, so Qingfu Junju had no choice but to send a search team to comb the mountain area. When Cheng Yujing questioned Cheng Yuma's personal servant girls, they explained that, on the night of the snowfall, her young miss had suddenly been inspired by the snow and decided to go out to admire it. She had been missing ever since. Deeply displeased, Cheng Yujing immediately gathered several servants and set out to search the path that the servant girls had mentioned. The back mountain was vast, and with the heavy snow, it was difficult to tell which direction they were heading. The snow slowed their progress, making it impossible to cover the entire mountain at this pace. To speed up the search, they decided to disperse and search separately. Cheng Yujing, along with Du Rua, eventually stumbled upon a cave in the mountains. The cave had a somewhat concealed entrance, suggesting that someone might have taken shelter there. Cheng Yujing hurried toward it, hopeful that she would find Cheng Yuma. But instead of her second sister, she found an unconscious man lying inside. Cheng Yujing's usual indifference to the fate of an unknown man was momentarily overcome by the discovery of the seal. It was a symbol of the Northwest Guard Army, and one name immediately sprang to mind. Huachang Yuan, Northwest Guard Army ***. Huachang Yuan? The renowned general favored at court, the youngest marquis in the dynasty, and the very same Jingyong Marquis Huachang Yuan? Her mind quickly processed the implications of this. The man lying unconscious before her was no ordinary person, and his connection to the court and military was undeniable. Cheng Yujing paused for a moment, her thoughts calm but decisive. Very well. She would save him. Cheng Yujing quickly gave orders for Du Rua to lay Huachang Yuan flat on the ground. Since he was an adult male, his weight was too much for Du Rua to handle alone. Without hesitation, Cheng Yujing crouched down and assisted in moving him. As she lifted his arm, the man stirred, his senses slowly returning. Sensing someone near him, he struggled to open his eyes. In the dim light of the cave, his gaze met a beautiful and delicate woman leaning over him. She radiated warmth and vitality, an alluring figure that stood out in the shadows. "It's you," he murmured in a dazed voice. Cheng Yujing was momentarily confused. He was clearly looking right at her, so why did he ask, "It's you"? Did he mistake her for a ghost? But of course, as the perfect, poised young miss of the capital, Cheng Yujing would never voice such thoughts aloud. Instead, she gave a slight nod and smiled gently, her expression calm and composed. "Marquis, please don't worry. I am the eldest granddaughter of Marquis Jingyong. My mother's estate isn't far from here. I'll send someone to lift you back in a moment." Cheng Yujing seemed to relax when he heard Cheng Yujing's reassurance. After giving her a deep, lingering look, he closed his eyes and fainted once more. A while later, the people Cheng Yujing had called for finally arrived. The servant boy who brought the stretcher informed her, reporting, "Eldest young miss, second miss has been found, and the Junju calls for you to return." Cheng Yujing had been found? Perfect. Cheng Yujing had no intention of staying out in the cold longer than necessary, especially pretending to be a loving sister. She would leave that to others. Cheng Yujing remained at Cheng Fujianju's estate for 3 days. During that time, he was mostly unconscious, only occasionally rousing. However, as an unmarried woman, Cheng Yujing couldn't enter the room of an outsider male. Fortunately, the mountain road was soon cleared, and people from the Jingyong Marquis Manor came to take Cheng Yujing away. Thanks to the assistance of Jingyong Marquis Manor, the mountain road was cleared quickly. Cheng Yujing couldn't help but compare the efficiency of a noble family with real military service to her own family's superficial noble title. If Ichuan Marquis Manor had to clear the road alone, they'd still be waiting patiently for the snow to melt. After Cheng Yujing rescued Marquis Jingyong, she returned to her manor. There, a silent understanding passed between her, Cheng Fujianju, and old Madame Cheng. Such a great favor should not go unacknowledged, and Jingyong Marquis Manor should certainly show their gratitude. Sure enough, it didn't take long before old Marchioness Jingyong, Cheng Yujing's mother, Shuesher, came to personally thank Cheng Yujing for saving her son. The gift of gratitude she brought was even more lavish than Cheng Yujing had expected. But what truly pleased her the most was the talk of an engagement that Shuesher brought up. Cheng Yujing was deeply grateful for Cheng Yujing's life-saving grace and wished to propose that she become his legitimate wife. At that moment, old Madame Cheng couldn't have been more pleased. Though Cheng Fujianju and Cheng Yujing's relationship was somewhat distant, as her daughter, Cheng Fujianju still felt joy at the prospect of Cheng Yujing marrying such a good match. The entire Ichuan Marquis Manor was filled with excitement, though the elders tried to maintain their composure. They carefully stated that they would consult Cheng Yujing for her opinion on the matter. Ask Cheng Yujing? Of course, she happily agreed. In truth, this had been her true intention all along in saving Cheng Yujing. At the end of the 21st year of Jianwu, Ichuan Marquis Manor was filled with joy. A family with an empty title had secured the most promising youth at court as their son-in-law. Moreover, the young Marquis's career was on the rise. It was enough to say that the entire family was in a state of great celebration. Old Madame Cheng proudly boasted to everyone that all the years spent raising Cheng Yujing had not been in vain. For Cheng Yujing, this was the most important investment of her life. The future now promised nothing less than glory and wealth, and she was satisfied. No longer needing to concern herself with anything else, she ceased going out and spent her time at home, preparing her dowry. Amidst all the noise surrounding Cheng Yujing, she didn't notice Cheng Yuma's growing unhappiness after returning from the estate. Cheng Yuma had been ill for a long time, yet Cheng Yujing didn't see it. She also failed to recognize how eager the Hua family was regarding the engagement. After all, marriage wasn't the only way to repay a life-saving grace. Unfortunately, she didn't notice these things.